Alrighty. Hello everybody, welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. It's been alright, James. How are you?
Hi, Suj. My name's James. His name's Suj.
Yeah. We should tell people who we are. But yeah, Sky's been alright so far, hasn't it?
There's a little bit of concern knocking about for those who haven't started really well, and some of the experienced Sky players have started very well. That it's already in catch-up mode. But yeah, I'm very much of the opinion it's 2 weeks gone. I'm about 10k first team, 6k second team. Yeah. When I look in my mini leagues, I'm near the bottom of all of them, which suggests that the SkyFF community has, on a whole, started really well this season. So it's good. Well done if you've had a good start. How's it started for you, so you're still above me?
8k.
Woo! You taking another screenshot?
Nah. It's fine. I'll take a screenshot at the end. But yeah, at the moment, 8k. So can't complain at all.
Don't worry too much about the ranks. It is true that there are a lot of experienced players who've started very well. But just put it into context. It's 2 weeks of 38, right? And that can happen in the middle of the season, at the start of the season, and we'll reset again in game week 4. Obviously, for those who've started great, you've had an amazing start, and there's some experienced players who'll be already thinking, yep, 50k very much on the agenda, and why shouldn't they?
Yeah, I think it might help for the context of a lot of people to understand the points difference rather than the rank difference, because at the moment, for me, 50 points would, I'm 8,000, I said 50 points would put me in the top 100.
Exactly.
50 points. We all know in this game, one good captaincy is 50 points occasionally.
How many was Antonio the other night? 42, was it?
Exactly. So where there have been 29, I worked it out as 22 matches so far, so 22 appearances for your players, 7 captaincy days so far, if I'm right. So that's 29 matches. I think there was 4 in the first week and 3 in the second.
No, there was no Monday night. It's only been 6 captaincies so far.
28 games.
Yeah.
So I'm talking an average of 2 points.
No transfers.
Yeah. 2 points per player is where I've fallen down. And the majority of my lack of points compared to others has been defensively. So obviously had the unfortunate disaster of Ben White, which I'm not going to bother burning a transfer. I didn't know early enough that he was out for COVID. Thank you for the information.
He might be back this weekend, but you have to ask yourself, do you even want him to be with Manchester City away?
So yeah, it's going to be, it was defensively where I've lacked the points. I didn't have Trent, who went off big. I didn't start with Shimikas. So obviously I missed out on points there as well. Webster and Diaz did okay for me. Martinez has been doing okay, but nothing spectacular.
Yeah, I think
so it's defensively, and my midfield's been actually, to be fair, my midfield's been garbage. Harrison and Barnes.
Have you got Danny Ings?
Yes.
How many points you got you over the 2 games?
I'm trying to log in at the moment, and it's not letting me.
Oh, that's really handy. Get it on your phone.
Device, yeah.
So I guess the ones for me that I'm missing, Danny Ings. But then I've had 14 points from Tony over the 2. I'd have probably taken that before I started. He hasn't even scored. No Liverpool defensive for me. So there's a lot of people on the Shimikas. People did gamble on Van Dijk. Well done. Obviously Trent's done quite well so far. No Chelsea defensive, and it seems to be quite a few people knocking about with a Rudiger or so. Those doing well. Ben Rama. Obviously those who've got Ben Rama. Anyone who's got the Ben Rama and Antonio double up is absolutely flying at the moment, aren't they? So small little decisions have gone against me. But then I look at this weekend and think, well, I've got a double Brighton defensive again. That could go either way. I've now got no Liverpool or Chelsea defensive, and they're playing each other. So I might even make small little catch-ups this week. And I think looking at this weekend, captaincy for the 2 game days is probably going to be quite straightforward. But maybe a little bit of debate for both days. But I think we can probably say who the most captain on both days will be. And there's probably not going to be any major ground to be made up or lost this weekend.
Yep.
There'll be small differences, just chipping away maybe, hopefully.
Yeah. Up to Overhaul is about keeping up with the pack and just making sure I had some form of strategy around it. And Danny Ings, 14 points over 2 games.
So it's the same as Tony?
Without captaincy.
You scored twice.
But Tony obviously includes 1 captaincy in there.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether I've captained him or not. You captained Ben White on a Friday, so what's the difference? How much better off are you? 1 point, 2 points?
Possibly, yeah. Not much. Not much. So yeah, Danny Ings hasn't picked up any man of the match or anything other than.
Well, I think he's had 2 shots. I think Villa have had 4 shots and scored 4 goals.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I can't argue with Ings, Antonio, and Salah have been okay up top. It's Harrison and Barnes are weak links for me potentially, but I'll just ride it out.
But then
Barnes is playing Norwich.
Norwich this week. Harrison, we spoke on Monday's podcast about Burnley away for Leeds this weekend. Could be a good fixture. So there'll be people out there with like Rafinha and stuff. I think you could do well this weekend. So, yeah, there's still one game to go, and then we can all just tear it up.
Exactly.
I feel like
there's only 2 match days this weekend, and as James is saying, we can tear it up to give people a preview. Like, obviously, the transfer window, for me, the biggest thing about Overhaul right now is waiting until the transfer window closes Tuesday night. And as soon as it closes, then we know what we're playing with, because we know we've got no price rises or dips. So Wednesday will be a chance to actually start looking at the fixtures for a slightly longer period, because we know the televised fixtures up to the end of October now, that's my understanding.
That's correct. So all the way up to Monday, November the 1st.
Yes. So we've got a long period where we can work around the fixtures, look at captaincy days, and then actually start really narrowing down.
And a proper watch list, because there's clubs that we just haven't spoken about yet this season, because I think like
Chelsea
Palace, for example, we just ruled them out first 3. And like take Gahey and Anderson, they were close to passing tier again against Brentford at the weekend. So you start thinking, is there something there that wasn't there previously with Palace? And get a little bit more data again this weekend. Who Palace got this weekend? I thought that's another rough
West
fixture.
Ham away, mate.
Yourselves, isn't it?
Hey! Coming for a slap, Palace. We'll see. But yeah, so you're right. I mean, I don't think the Manchester City ownership is as high as it potentially could be. Chelsea definitely have got lower ownership at the moment, which will increase post-Overhaul. We were nervous about Virgil van Dijk, whether he would start the season. He clearly has, so he comes back onto the radar for a lot of people. It's going to be plenty of players to look at. And
Van Dijk's passing numbers at the weekend?
No.
Only about 45.
That's quite low.
At home to Burnley.
That's quite low.
Dramatically low. You'd expect him to hit double.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You would look at Van Dijk at home to Burnley and think that's a definite passing tier 2. Nope. So I said similar passing number to Gahey and Anderson at Palace at the weekend.
Concerns there, maybe. But we'll see how they get on this weekend. With Liverpool have got Chelsea, which will be a very different game.
How was your actual game week?
The actual game week was 100 points.
Nice.
100 points. So Martinez 8, Diaz and Webster 13 and 11. Wan-Bissaka picked up a tackle tier 2, so 5 points, which is quite often his baseline. So not too bad. Nothing from Fernandes, Barnes and Harrison. Salah, same as everybody else, 4 points. Antonio 42 and Ings 7. So Antonio nearly half of my points.
Yeah, similar numbers to you. 20 points off Webster and Dunk, 13 off Ruben Diaz, 8 for Martinez. Tony 4-pointer, Salah 4-pointer times 2, Antonio 21-pointer times 2. Blanks for Buendia has been a pain. Barnes, obviously Bruno blanked as he would have done for a lot of people on Sunday. Harry Maguire looks like it's been a bad choice as well. So I no regrets on the choice. I think the key things for me would be, yes, there's a couple of errors with the team I started with, but I didn't punt on people like Ben Rama, because I didn't want to punt on someone like that. But then you could say I punted on Buendia and I've gone on the wrong side of it. Reality is I was more likely to go Rafinha than Buendia or Ben Rama, in all honesty. Obviously, we should have gone Rafinha and Buendia. Remember last week I spoke about, I'd gone Dunk over Pereira. We've already come back around that Dunk's now outscored Pereira despite the clean sheet and assist in game week 1. Webster's 11-pointer was a good return. The only real one, I look back and go, should I have captained Antonio at Newcastle rather than Ruben Diaz against Tottenham? And I think, no, I couldn't have seen that Ruben Diaz wouldn't hit passing tier against Tottenham. A Tottenham without Harry Kane, who I went into the game thinking it never went through my mind that we'd beat them, to be honest. And I think the main ones were making sure you had the Salah or Fernandes on the first Saturday, which most of us would have done. And obviously making sure we had Antonio on the Monday gone. So it's not a million miles away. I've no over concerns. And I haven't thought too much yet about after the weekend. Yeah, because a little bit like what you said, transfer window shuts Tuesday, Cristiano Ronaldo be a Manchester City player, and we've got to rethink our plans anyway.
Exactly.
We don't actually know that.
So, captaincy this weekend, let's rattle that off. Are you going Antonio on Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's probably got to be done.
Yeah, I think so too.
The alternative, I think, is Ruben Diaz. home to Arsenal. But then we've also heard that Guardiola said that Laporte would definitely play. So you would presume it's Laporte and Diaz, but is there a little question mark there? I think having been burnt once going against Antonio in the Newcastle game, I'm not quite prepared to do that again. He's on absolute fire at the moment. So I think Antonio for me Saturday, yeah.
And on the Sunday, just to confirm, I am Antonio as well. Although I don't know if it's particularly good for my health going to West Ham with Antonio as captain in Sky and FPL. Yeah, we'll see. It could be a frustrating
I don't know if it's good for anyone's, but yeah, it might be what's happening. I think Bruno Sunday, it's no other thing for me. I don't have a Tottenham asset, so if those who've gone for Son or Kane, you obviously will get the benefit of seeing the team. And I think if you've got Son or Kane, and you've made that decision, presumably you made that decision to go before the Wolves game, so I guess you wouldn't have bought Kane because you would have seen the Tottenham team. But if you've gone for Son, and obviously we presume he is fit because he's been photographed running with Tottenham in the last 24 hours, so I presume he's absolutely fine. I think if you've gone for Son, and as long as you're happy with the Tottenham team you see on Sunday, you probably do go with Heung-min Son as the captaincy option at home to Watford. But I'll be on Bruno. Any game, any time with that fella.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Bruno as well. I've got other options, obviously Harrison away at Burnley, but no. And Wan-Bissaka, and also no. Considering the amount of shots that Wolves have had, they've got to break their duck eventually.
Those players are just not worth going against Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion.
Not anywhere near. Hopefully Wolves will score. I was just thinking about Wolves not scoring. Reminded me of something about Arsenal. YouTuber, Expressions Oozing, obviously he's a Spurs boy. Many of our listeners may not have come across him. He gives me the most amount of satisfaction on YouTube because some of the stuff he comes out with. But my favourite at the moment last week was, mate, Arsenal better score against Man City or their August goal of the month's going to have to come from the training videos, bruv, because they haven't scored the whole month. And that was a nice play. Same goes for Wolves, though, unfortunately. If they don't score,
well, at least
there's no goal in August goal of the month.
Wolves scored 4 at Nottingham Forest in the Cup last night, so they can use
pick
that.
One of those.
Arsenal got West Brom away in the Cup tonight, and shit might get worse for them yet.
I mean, West Brom are flying high at the moment in the
it depends what sort of team West Brom pick, I think.
Yeah, true. But funny. Expressions is class 1 comedy. Is some of the stuff he comes out with.
It would amuse me, though, if Arsenal went out of that competition for the European teams that even entered it.
Let's not take too much joy from anyone else's misery, because I think things are not quite right there. We've had plenty of questions in on Twitter on SkyFF. I'm surprised at how many questions we've had, considering how
little there is to actually talk about until next week.
But we will get through these Twitter questions. Any that are post-overhaul and shortlisty, we may kick forward until the next couple of episodes. So obviously we're going to give a full rundown on fixtures and short lists of players.
Yeah, that's during the break. The next 2 podcasts, we're going to break them down into 2 different pods before obviously match week 4 starts. Which will be a deeper look at fixtures and planning, and another one will obviously be on a wider watch list, which we didn't do pre-season because we just felt there were so many teams that we could just completely rule out and not to overthink this period. So yeah, we will have a look at every team before the international break is finished.
Yeah. I'm going to go top to bottom in the questions today. And we start with Ian Parrin, who is one of those people who is a seasoned Sky player doing very well.
He's about 120th already,
yeah,
Ian.
Yeah.
And
I tell you, 260 points, which is 50 more than me. That's a benchmark.
Strategists like Ian starting very well is dangerous. Yeah. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah, indeed. With FPL managers currently finding it difficult to fit 3 premium players into their squads, how many of the 16 Sky players priced at 10 million or higher is the optimum number in this game?
Ian, start your own podcast, mate.
Yeah, mate. That's a fantastic question, but I feel like it's the type of question that I need to pause recording, go away and think about and come back to. But how many do you have right now, James? Priced at more than 10 million?
Salah, Bruno, Ruben Diaz. I think Harry Maguire is more, I want to say.
No, he's 9.5.
He's 9.5. I mean, that's it at the moment.
Yeah, Salah, Bruno, Diaz, same for me.
And now,
I've got 2 at more than 9 in Ings and Wan-Bissaka, and then Antonio is the next at 8.8.
That'll change because I think once the window's shut and stuff as well, we can identify some more enablers, the sort of thing that might make it a kind of 10-player game and you just write one off, for example. But it's dependent, right? So we said the fixtures are done up until November the 1st. I won't be telling Ian something that he does not really know, but I might be telling some of you something that you don't know. There's one fixture that could still change from those that have been announced, and that is Leeds and Liverpool on Sunday the 12th, which is the only game on that Sunday at the moment. So you look at that and go, well, definitely need to start with a Liverpool player, but you might not, because that game could move. It could move to the Saturday, and in its place could go Chelsea against Aston Villa. And that's very dependent on which club plays on the Tuesday and the Wednesday in the Champions League the following midweek. Liverpool and Chelsea will be paired together in the draw. One of them will play on the Tuesday, one will play on the Wednesday. So at the moment it's Leeds-Liverpool. But if Liverpool play on the Tuesday in Europe, they'll move back to the Saturday evening. Chelsea and Villa will become the only game on the Sunday. And if that's the case, we're all fucking starting with Lukaku, aren't we?
Yep.
But at the moment, I probably don't need to. And then obviously if it moves back to the Saturday, looking through Liverpool's other fixtures just briefly, a lot of them clash with City. You might not need a Liverpool player. So again, that draw is going to be, I think it's on Friday, a Champions League draw.
Yeah, and Europa.
Why am I going to waste so much time thinking about that now when I've still got 2 weeks to think about it once I know the draw?
Correct. Now we have Chris FPL _ Sky Addict says, do you think there will be more variation on Saturday on captains than the last 2 weeks where captains pick themselves somewhat? Is it better to sacrifice maybe 10 points now to save the transfer for post-overhaul? I think that we've got to the point now where there's no point in making transfers pre-overhaul at all.
No.
And in addition to that, do I think there'll be more variation? I think after Monday night, I don't think there will be. I think a lot of people will go Antonio.
I would think so.
Yeah, it's going to be particularly high.
It's the form, it's the potential, it's a good fixture. I don't think it needs overthinking. The ceiling is big. We've kind of seen that from the Monday gone. It's bigger than what Ruben Diaz is likely to be, in all honesty. And Diaz does offer a great alternative. We know the passing tiers will probably be there in this fixture again. It's easily a 10-pointer. If he scores, it's easily a good return. That probably still wouldn't beat what Antonio got the other night. So I just think we learnt from game week 1, didn't we? Where Dan Cox had put the poll out for the captaincy when Antonio played Newcastle. And it was really high on Antonio. And we were both surprised by that.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be so high.
And I wondered if it was a lot of new players were like, well, you don't captain a defender, that kind of thing. But they were right. I was wrong. So I'm not going to go against that again this weekend. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. So Antonio, a definite for me. And I think, again, if it's Bruno or Son on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Bruno's going to be the most. I don't know what Son's ownership is, but it can't be that big.
No. FPL Delboy wants to know, he's new to Sky, does the tippy-tappy passing between Soyuncu and Amati on Monday night count towards passing tiers? And Gary has helpfully said yes, a pass is a pass so long as it's a completed pass, so they all count.
They all count.
Yeah.
I mean, had Leicester not had a player sent off, the way the pattern of the game was emerging, they were both going to push above 100 passes, easy. They still pissed tier 2. I think Soyuncu's one of only a couple of players is at tier 2 passing in both games, so that kind of stands out for after the overhaul, although they do walk straight into Manchester City immediately when they do. They've still got some good fixtures afterwards. A lot of it was because we spoke about it on yesterday's podcast about West Ham stopping the passing lines into midfield. They just
occupying that space.
They just kept going side to side. It doesn't mean that's necessarily going to be the case in all games. I'm more interested in like what happened with Van Dijk, because it didn't really occur to me watching the game at the time. So some Diaz at Tottenham not hitting them, for example. Van Dijk not hitting them against Burnley. What is that? We need to be conscious of it.
I'm going to shout out to the season keepers for your captaincy question for the weekend, but we've covered captaincy, and if in doubt, people are kind of basically captaincy is, will it be varied? Should we go rogue? This close to overhaul, just stick to the high owned, I think, Antonio or Diaz, and that'll do the trick. Yeah,
don't overthink it. You can lose this game at the start, you can't win it.
No.
And I think there's those who went against Antonio Monday night are obviously very, very much regretting it. And the irony is, when I picked my team at the start, I had no clue that it was going to be Antonio. Because I had Pereira really... I kind of cut at the last minute. I had Harvey Barnes as well. It was a case of I want a couple of different options to make the decision when I get there.
Yep. Craig Kemp, this we may need to look at in a couple of weeks, Craig. But he says, who are your top 3 cheap enablers that you have an eye on for after Overhaul? Anyone particularly jump to mind straight away?
Are we calling Webster at 7?
Yeah.
We put him into that bracket?
I think so.
I think he's in, because if he wasn't 7 million, if he was 7, 8 or something, then I'd definitely start with Lewis Dunk.
Yeah.
But it might be that I don't need to, and that's worth the saving possibly. Just at Webster, you would have seen massively outpass Dunk on Saturday.
But positioning.
Yeah, we spoke about it on Monday's podcast.
Left, right?
Webster played right, Dunk left. Dunk doesn't want to play that position. When Dunk goes back centrally, and he will at some point, that will change back and swing massively in Lewis Dunk's favour. So be conscious of that. No is the answer. I feel like there's a few in the midfield area, like certain things like Ben Rama and Antonio are both unbelievable prices.
Yeah, 8.
Do I want
7 point?
I mean, it's easy to look at Ben Rama in hindsight and go, "Oh fuck, I wish I'd started with him." Obviously, but did I really want to start with 2 West Ham attacking players? No, not overly. But the value in both of them means it's a strong possibility you could do that afterwards. Yeah. Antonio's price is brilliant. But then so is Ben Rama. Do you lean to Ben Rama then on the other side?
No.
Yeah, but it solves a midfield problem and frees up a
forward
forward
is
spot.
Difficult because it's harder to find midfielders in this game than it is to find forwards.
But I think if you were to look through fixtures, and I can't say I've looked at West Ham's in a huge amount of detail.
They're not bad.
No, but I mean, like, for example, stands out and goes October the 3rd, you've got Brentford at home. Leicester have got Palace away, Liverpool, Man City play each other. And I look at that and go, well, if Antonio's available for that, yeah, do you know what? That's the sort of one I might just... But then can I carry Ben Rama and captain him that day? Well, yeah, I think I can against his old club and that. He scored against him in pre-season, didn't he? So if I look at that further along the line and go, yeah, do you know what? Shit, I'm not really going to captain Antonio in his first 4 or 5. I think you fill that midfield spot, don't you?
Yeah.
With Ben Rama.
Ron Mintz at SkyFF said he picked Højbjerg for pre-Overhaul, who ticks over on bonus. He's not hit any. Is this the end of Højbjerg as a consistent bonus magnet? I think when he was sitting at the base, tackle tiers and maybe passing tiers were a little bit more common for him. But now that he's playing a bit further forward in front of Skip, is it a case that he's then now moving around the pitch a lot more and less prone to tippy-tappy passing tiers or just breaking up play with tackles?
I think you'll probably see in the next 2 games that it'll probably hit them, actually. So Spurs play 2 different systems, one with the ball, one without. Without the ball, it's 4-3-3 and Højbjerg is to the right, the midfield 3. Dele Alli funnels in. With the ball, Ali tries to get hired. Skip and Højbjerg kind of take 10 yards to their left and play as a double pivot. And the more Tottenham have of the ball, the more Højbjerg is going to be part of a pivot. The more he's part of a pivot, the more passes he's going to make, clearly. There isn't a lot between the passing numbers so far from Skip and Højbjerg. But if it had been this time last year, Højbjerg would have been well away. Now, are we really expecting Højbjerg to hit passing tiers versus Man City? No. Are we expecting them at Wolves? Maybe yes. But then Tottenham scored very early in the game, and that had an impact towards a very deep counter-attacking strategy during the game. So, as I suggested on one of the previous 2 pods we've done, that, yeah, it could be that his numbers calmed down. I would not be surprised if it's passing 2 in the next 2, though, because of the opposition, Watford and Palace.
Tartan Espanol mentions Wolves and says, are you thinking about any Wolves post-Overhaul? Some cheap options that could work as enablers. We'll definitely come back to Wolves on the shortlist in a couple of weeks. But yeah, potentially there could be cheap enablers there that we could look at.
There's nothing to suggest from the numbers at the weekend that any of the backline are going to hit passing tiers, which was always the case under Nuno last year. Wolves defenders are not hitting that. Connor Cody, it's hit like once or twice a year. They're playing a back 3 at the moment, but we know that Bruno Lage ideally wants to play a back 4, which would make me nervous about picking the defensive assets. Semedo could get some attacking returns, but I think we're talking more FPL asset here rather than Sky asset. Jimenez is a maybe. But I think I'd have to look deep and see days where I'd go, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to captain him. And just looking at their fixtures, Wolves, until they play Everton on November the 1st, which is the Monday night, they always play on a Saturday. So that makes me think, well, how often is Jimenez, now we've got more games on a Saturday, how often is Jimenez going to be the best captaincy option for me? Well, the chances are the answer to that's possibly never. So it might be going without. Ruben Neves was close to passing tier at the weekend, but I think it's probably a no, actually. Okay. Even though they've got great fixtures, I'd look at that more and go, can we assess and can I enter for the Everton fixture on November the 1st if I need to? Because they've still got good fixtures after that as well.
Shout out to Josh, who wants to know what to do with Tsimikas this weekend. Now, for what it's worth, firstly, there's no guarantee that Robertson comes straight back into the team. We've then got the international break straight after. So if Liverpool are sensible and careful, then they may just nurse Robertson back in to get his fitness back up. They didn't bring him off the bench last week. So, A, there's no guarantee that Tsimikas gets dropped for Robertson. B, even if he does, this late in the day, I don't think... there's nowhere to go at that price. So you end up almost making a sideways move for the sake. What are you going to do? Go to a Livramento for one game or something? Just doesn't make any sense to me to be burning a transfer
I give you,
to solve that problem.
Nah, leave it be.
2 days before Overhaul. No chance.
I'll give you an example.
And actually, he might even play.
One of the reasons I went with Maguire at the start was to give me a fullback option for this final Sunday for captaincy in case something happened to Bruno. Now, I'm going into this Sunday with just Bruno and Harry Maguire. Obviously, I captain Bruno Fernandes. But let's just say Bruno and Harry Maguire got injured and were confirmed out between now and Sunday. Or even, are they the early kickoff? I think they are one of the early. Who? Manchester United on Sunday, or they're 4:30.
No, they're the early kickoff.
Are you sure?
No, Wolves is 4:30. Sorry,
Wolves 4:30.
You're the early kickoff.
We're not on the telly though. What's the other game Sunday? Burnley Leeds is early,
Burnley.
isn't it?
Away, Leeds are away.
I've only got Maguire Fernandes on Sunday. If they were both ruled out, I think I'd leave it.
Yeah, and
I'm not even buying in a player to captain. I wouldn't force in Son or anything.
Even
like
Ben
that.
White is another question that's come up. For example, I own Ben White. I'm not making any moves to get rid of Ben White.
What was he getting this week for you anyway? -1. You might be better off that he doesn't play.
Yeah, true. Right, we have a couple of more philosophical questions here from new players. This one comes in from Matt. Matt, thank you for your question. As someone who's playing for the first time, am I right in thinking attacking midfielders are lower floor, higher ceiling, whereas defensive holding midfielders are higher floor, lower ceiling? Likes of Ndidi and Jorginho versus like a Rafinha or Ben Rama.
I'm already confused.
So your defensive midfielders might start with a baseline of 4 or 5 points because they'll pick up a tackle tier or a passing tier, but they won't get to the 15s and 20s because they don't get attacking returns.
Well, someone like Jorginho can. Yeah. He gets 2 penalties in a game.
Yeah, true. Whereas attacking players might be lower ceiling, 2 points if they get nothing, but they could go off big. And I think that's a fair way of looking at it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then they're priced accordingly as well.
I guess the obvious one is Rodri, right? Rodri, if he plays, basically starts on 5 points, doesn't he? But that's normally what he's getting every week is 5 points.
Yeah. Dan Kerwin wants to know, are we doing an overhaul special next week? We're doing 2 overhaul specials, one on fixtures and one on players. So, yes, is the answer to that. So you can stay tuned for those. Before you have to submit your team, we'll give you all the information that we possibly can. James Hill wants to know, is it time to move away from bonus midfielders with the likes of Ben Rama and Rafinha doing so well from attacking returns? And Ndidi, Højbjerg, etc. have been a letdown and really should have gone with Ben Rama over the 3 games. It's hindsight. Don't be hindsight.
No, it's fair point. I'm always keen to go with the players who can score the goals rather than those who won't, if you can. Because exactly that, on the previous question with the ceiling, I mean, we're talking about tiering for players like Rodri and Ndidi and stuff like that, Højbjerg. Ben Rama and Rafinha are going to be hitting shot tiers, aren't they? The way it looks at the moment. So they've got their own tier points coming in.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I'd always want to go with the attacking players.
Got a number of post-overhaul questions. We're going to skip all of those. I mean, which enablers are we looking at and how are we going to fit in strikers? To be honest, until and when the window is closed, I think we need to kind of just get through this weekend and not basically get too rage transfery or trigger happy just in case on the Sunday.
No, I mean, well, perfect example is like, I don't know what price Kurt Zuma is at Chelsea, who was obviously brilliant in the game last year at Chelsea. West Ham defenders predominantly don't hit passing tier. But would he suddenly be interested if that transfer to West Ham happens, for example? There are a lot of clubs that are going to be making transfers. I part in jest say about Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester City, but honestly, I would not be surprised if Cristiano Ronaldo is at Manchester City next week, and then what? Mm-hmm. This is why I really can't be asked to overthink things, because the first thing I need to know is what price is Ronaldo going to be, and how soon do I have to put him into the team, right? You couldn't ignore someone like that.
No.
Even if he came in like $1 million more than Kane and Salah. And like I said, if that Chelsea Villa fixture moves, how are you not going to start with Lukaku? Have to.
Yep. And the last question of the show, James, we will give to Joseph. And the question is, again, philosophical. I prefer these when we're not making any transfers. What is it about this format that consistently means that top managers score so well, so consistently, i.e. compared to FPL? It's a good question. And I think it feels that way because so many good managers have done so well at the start of this season. We have to factor in that this season there was only 3 weeks pre-overhaul, not 4. Doesn't seem like a big difference, but it's almost 3 or 4 match days that you didn't have to plan for. So you're planning for less days in the beginning. 100% makes it easier. Like the fewer weeks you have to plan for, the easier it is. Last season, the way the fixtures were spread were more match days anyway. So you're actually almost planning for maybe 8 to 10 less match days this time round, which makes it easier. And I think the good managers who've been playing for 2 or 3 years now, in line with the content that we produce, the guys at Hub produce, Luke and Joe produce and so on, there's enough information out there that means the understanding of what good looks like from tier points is very solid. I think the majority of us are now picking from 50 players, maybe, max in this game.
Yeah, there's that in terms of the amount of choices. Suj meant Niall, by the way. Sorry, Niall.
Does Niall do it with
Luke now, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, I did. My bad.
It's all right. We forgive you.
It's all right. Luke's winning the whole thing at the moment. He's top of all our bloody mini leagues.
Is he?
I think last time I saw.
Is he smashing it, Luke?
I'm in Benny
so
Blanco's Invitational League, and Luke is sitting top of that.
But then Luke will get to the weekend and he'll be like, nah, fuck it. Do you know what? I'm going to captain Greenwood because he loves all that shit, doesn't he?
He's on 259 points.
Wow, that's very good.
Yeah, tasty.
Dangerous player. I'd love it if someone like him won it.
So I can't click on it.
Well, obviously, he's an experienced player. I think the reality answer to the question is there are far less good players in Sky than FPL. It's obvious,
players,
right?
Stop, yeah.
And that. So it's relative, isn't it? 100 top 100 at this stage in Sky is what in FPL? Top 50k maybe or something at this stage. So there are thousands, tens of thousands of extremely good FPL players. There's not that number in Sky. In Sky, we're in the hundreds, right? If that, arguably. There's a lot of new players playing. And I think, as you said, the amount of good content that's out there now as well, whether people listen to us or others, we're all going to be a similar thinking, right?
Yeah,
so it becomes
I think
powerful.
Brings it.
We'll all have different ideas, but generally, with Sky, the groupthink is very close together. There'll be slight differences, but the groupthink's going to be together.
Yeah, and people approach it from different angles. I mean, we look at it from a kind of watching the games and then fixture planning and then finding the players within the fixtures. I think when I listen to the guys on a Sunday, for example, they have different things that we don't do, like actually who picked up tier points in every single game. I don't click through the app to check every single player, so it's
you don't need to get on FF stuff, isn't it?
Exactly. So
the
it just
one
makes
that,
life
I mean,
a bit
just
easier.
briefly, just what I remember, the one that stood out. We mentioned Sergi Canos last week. 7 tackles against Arsenal. He had 5 against Palace.
Yep.
But I don't know if he's going to stay in the team.
No, that's the biggest.
He's a cheap one. He's 7.3 midfielder.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are the kind of reasons why, and stamina in this game. You'll notice as the season goes on, it's harder and harder to keep on top of fixtures, deadlines, game days, making your transfers. I'll tell you one thing this season more than any other, and I'll get grief for missing the odd deadline, but because of the issues within the app now, I am so nervous and conscious every single day about every single thing. So I'm checking my captain every day because I'm worried that a bug or something will cause an issue.
You might have noticed on Monday night, obviously you were at the West Ham game, but I never messaged you and said Sky reminder. Do you know why?
Why you didn't message me?
Yeah.
No.
Because it weren't fuck all you'd have been able to do with it anyway.
Because it was down.
But they managed to reopen it 10 minutes before the game started.
Oh, wow.
To set your captain. So if anybody had seen the team lineup, not checked the captains and bought Antonio, for example, which I'm sure some people would have done, like until 10 minutes before the kickoff, they've not been able to put the captain on him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to get that sorted, and they have said they'll get it sorted.
Yeah, and they did fix the bug last week relatively quickly. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt in terms of they're trying to make the game better. So
I get that.
Yeah.
That's also not good enough. As much as we take the piss and say, give me my even Tony picture and stuff like that, give me an updated Bruno picture, like, please make it so you can set your captains. Like, we'll have grey silhouettes if we have to.
Yeah. I'm wondering, can I set my captains now for this weekend?
No, not yet, mate.
Oh.
Friday, they've said. So my recommendation would be, though, for Sunday, for example, particularly as that's the last day of the game week, as was Monday, make sure you do set it for who your Sunday captain is. And if you've got any doubt, go with a higher own. If you're sitting there and you're generally thinking, oh, Bruno or Son, please bus it on Bruno. Mm-hmm. Like, go with a safe option just in case something goes wrong with it. I mean, for me, if that happens to me on Sunday and I was at Spurs, for example, I'm dead. 10 minutes before kickoff, I ain't going to get the reception to be able to change that and stuff. So, yeah. They'll get there. I'm sure they'll get there. Just be conscious that the app is
flaky.
Let's say that.
Yeah. And that's it. SkyFF. Hope you enjoyed this show. The real planning starts next week. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned. Chat for now.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck this week. Cue music, please, man. Chop.